Guys, how are you? This is Ms. Faratalat, your world history teacher, and we're gonna continue talking about absolutism in Asia. We talked about the Mughal dynasty in India, so we started with it, and we talked about reforms of Akbar the Great, Akbar's government, rule of free religion, and we reached the end of the Mughal dynasty, page 251. Today we're gonna continue about end of the Mughal dynasty, and we're gonna talk about costly mistakes that in the Mughal dynasty a lot of emperors after Akbar the Great did, and we're gonna start talking about absolutism in Asia, page 252, especially where the Ottoman Empire with Muhammad II and Sulaiman the Magnificent. So let's start with that. Here, guys, as the previous class, we're done with the end of the Mughal dynasty, but let me go through them again. We said that the Mughal dynasty ended because number one, Akbar's successors, which means the people who will come after him, like his sons and grandsons, were not able to maintain or to sustain or to control the huge land that Akbar was controlling and the diversity in his empire, different religions, different people, different religions inside of his government. So they were not able to sustain it or to control it. The second thing that led to the end of the Mughal dynasty, that Akbar and the after him, the emperors after him, they pay a great amount of money for the building projects, and they needed, it required a great amount of money that eventually led to make the country with no money because they used all of it in the building projects. Number three, guys, that it was a mistake in the previous class, but here the wars eroded the power base of the empire. What is the meaning of this? This means that the wars that the empire entered in it used all of the power in the country, the empire, and used all of the money in the empire that later on led to erode it or erode the power base in the country, which means that it led to make decline the power of the empire. Number four, guys, that emperors after Akbar, they withdrew or removed the tax system or the tax reforms that he was working with. And if we have more people in this land, they have to pay more money because they consume more food or a thing. In addition to these points, guys, the emperors after the Mughal, after Akbar the Great, the mistakes that was done by them, it was huge mistake and costly one. The first one, we're gonna talk about him as the next emperor after Akbar the Great, and made a costly mistakes that led to the end of the empire, the absolute monarch of India or the Mughal dynasty. His name was Jahangir. So Emperor Jahangir, what about him? In the year of 1614, guys, he wanted to make the British to get into their trade with the spices trade, because India at that time until nowadays it's known for the spices. So he wanted to get this trading system with the British. After getting this will lead to do what? To make the country um, gaining more money because of this trade. He's gaining the British to his side. So he said, I want to get them to my side and to my trade by trading in spices. But how to do that? I will allow them to do whatever they want. What was the intention of the British was to build a trading post on the coast of India. So they wanted to build their own trading posts and to settle there and start their spices trade or trading. Sorry, or spicing trade. Sorry for that. So He wanted to start trading with them, and by how to do that, he allowed them to build their trading posts on the coast of India. But this was a very huge mistake. Justify that. Emperor Jahangir, when he allowed the British to build their own trading posts on the coast of India, it was a costly mistake and a great mistake that led to the end of the empire. Justify that because we all know once the British set up a colony for them in one place, it's impossible for you to to get rid of them or to remove them from that land. So when they built their trading posts, it was like a what, like them setting up their own colony, and now we have to fight them in order for us to get rid of them. Of course, the power slowly increased in their power. The British power slowly increased in India. We need to build another post, trading post. Yes, you can. We need to build. We need to build. We need to build until their power start to increase in India, and it was a very great mistake. The second emperor who did a very costly mistake, his name was Emperor Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan. What about this man? He ruled from 1628 until 1658. Okay, but he was a very unsuccessful emperor, and at the same time, he was a conqueror. Justify that. He was unsuccessful emperor, and they called him also a conqueror. Why? Number one, because he tried to expand the empire, but he failed. Number two, he tried to replenish the economy, which means to make it grow again, but he failed. His military adventures cost a lot of money because he wanted to conquer another land, but of course he failed, and his military adventures led to cost the land or the empire a great amount of money. Number four, he used a great amount of money to build the what? To build Taj Mahal in 1648. He built Taj Mahal. He was the one who built the greatest Taj Mahal ever in India. But of course, he used a great amount of money and consumed a great amount of money of the empire just to build a place for his wife. Number five, he went broke, like officially broke, because what? Because he wanted to build another identical building for Taj Mahal, but of course he was broke before finishing it. The last thing about this man, he ended the policy of religious tolerance. So religious tolerance, so he was not accepting any other religion except of that Islam at that time, and he ended this policy of I can accept different religions to be with me. These was the reasons in general that led eventually to the end of the Mughal dynasty. This is the end of the Mughal dynasty. Now we're going to talk about another dynasty or another thing, absolutism, in Asia. Another place in Asia was the Ottoman Empire, or another people, the Ottoman Empire. They were Turks, and we're going to talk especially about Muhammad II and Sulaiman the Magnificent. Of course, the Islamic culture reached its highest point between when and when? Between 1450 and 1650. This time or this period was the what? The spread of the gunpowder empire. So the gunpowder was only between three empires. The number one, the Safavids, number two, the Mughals, and number three, the Ottomans, that we're gonna take, and we're gonna talk about it now, which is the or next class, I think. Yes, it's about next class. We're gonna talk about the Ottomans, and we're gonna talk about how absolutism started with Muhammad II, and after him Sulaiman the Magnificent. That's it for today, guys. If you have any question, you are so welcome to ask.